So when I ask for feedback in my skills tips groups about these different ages, I think the favorite age was 5 and 6-year-olds. Everybody's like, my 5 and 6-year-olds aren't as bad. 7 and 9-year-olds is kind of up there with 5 and 6-year-olds. 3 and 4-year-olds are maybe one of the trouble one. But this is where everybody has a hard time. Raise your hand if 10 to 14-year-olds is your hardest class that there is. Most of you guys. And if they're not, that means that you're doing a lot of things right. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to change what you're doing to get the results. You're just doing an excellent job. 10 to 14-year-olds build most of their behavioral confidence through a drive for reward or empowerment and passion for novelty. So 10 to 14-year-olds right now are going through a massive, massive change scientifically. So science, this is not necessarily just 10 to 14-year-olds are just bad seeds. What's happening is physically, their body is going through hormonal changes so that their body goes from an adolescent body to an adult body. So their body is physically tired just from being 12 years old. They say that the average teenage boy's body is as exhausted as somebody who works out for 4 to 5 hours a day. So, I'm exhausted after taking an hour Orange Theory class. So imagine me taking 4 Orange Theory classes back to back. How tired? I probably wouldn't make it through. My body is exhausted. So they're going through this physical exhaustion. So that's why they seem lazy, right? Anybody here have a 10 to 14-year-old? Anybody in here 10 or 14-year-old? Anybody here? Okay. Not you, Juan. You're not 14. Okay, so when mom and dad says, all right, Eric, I need you to get up and take the garbage out. And Eric's on the couch, and he's like, oh. And he gets up. And then goes over and grabs the garbage can and takes the thing out, and he's like, and you're like, dude, I just taught 5 martial arts classes. Before that, I had a 5 a.m. kickboxing class. I worked all day. I went to the grocery store. I'm coming home. I'm going to cook dinner and then do laundry, and you can't take out the friggin' garbage? Right? We're like, they're lazy. But it's science. Their body is actually extremely tired. So what we have to do is we have to tap into that brain. We have to tap into that heart and get them to want to push their body to do things that they really physically just don't want to do. So my favorite skill, or my favorite strategy is called up the rep. I actually got up the rep from Tom Callos. He was the one who taught me that like 10, 15 years ago, and I just kind of cohesively applied it to my teaching strategies, and it works great. So up the rep is constantly practice. Let me read that again. Up the rep is constantly practicing the wiring of the brain to try hard. Up the rep builds intrinsic motivation and stimulates endorphins through hard work, dopamine, which is knowing that there's a reward to it, and serotonin, the feeling of accomplishment. Let me explain. The go-to story that I always tell is when I was training a bunch of my world champions back in the day, and I had my point sparers over here, my forms guys over here, and I looked at my point sparers and I said, I want you guys to go over to the bag and work your jump back kicks, and I want you to do 50 of them while I work with these guys on their forms. So I had them doing that, and I went over to my forms guys, and I'm working with them, and then I come back over to my black belts working their jump back kicks, and here's my boy Carlos, and he jumps back, and he's like, 50, ma'am. And I look over at Carlos and Chris, and I'm like, you guys got to do them over again. They're like, we didn't cheat. We promise you, we didn't cheat. And I'm like, no, but you just got worse on those kicks. That 50th kick was like the worst jump back kick I've ever seen. And they're like, but it's because I was tired. And I was like, I get it. I know 50 kicks is child abuse, right? But they're world champions, so we can get away with it. Kind of off the topic, but I was like, you got 50 times worse. The goal is when you do those kicks and you do reps, is that you got to get better with every rep. So I want you to go back and do it again once you have the energy, and I want your first kick to be really soft. Your second kick a little stronger. Your third kick a little stronger, so that your 50th kick is 50 times better than your first kick. They went back, and I worked with my students on the forms, and I came back, and here's Carlos. Pow! 50, ma'am! His endorphins were high. His energy level was high. He felt those kicks getting better with every rep. So when you have your 10 to 14-year-olds repping kicks, whatever, tell them, get better with every rep. You got to do your form 5 times. I want your first form to be really just soft and nice and easy. Second form, a little bit stronger. third form a little bit stronger, so that your fifth form is 5 times stronger than your first form, and watch what happens to their energy, their effort, and the overall results of doing that. What you're doing is you're teaching their brain how to override the tiredness that they have to push themselves to become better. That's what's really cool about martial arts. When we say martial arts is one of the coolest activities in the world, I mean, yes, it is about kicking people in the head and getting points for it, but it's also about being able to rewire your brain to become a better version of yourself, physically, intellectually, emotionally, and socially. So up the rep is a strategy. It should be part of the dialogue that you use in every single drill that you have, even in warm-ups. If you're working push-ups and you say, all right, 10 push-ups, first push-up soft, second push-up a little bit stronger, 10th push-up should be 10 times better than your first one. When I substituted my kickboxing class, I'm doing the same thing on the bag, and I'll say we'll do this jab, cross, hook, upper combo. First one should be nice and soft, next one stronger, so that by the time, when we're doing Tabatas, by the time the 20 seconds is up, that last combination is your strongest combination. And you know what happens to those students in class? That last combination, you're just like, yeah, you feel jacked, because the endorphins are flying through your brain right now, and you're pumped up.